My girlfriend texted, "Maybe some distance will make you miss me." I replied, "Then take it." She expected a weekend of silence to scare me straight. Instead, I packed her stuff, changed the locks, and slept fine. 2 days later, her sister was calling, her friends were lying, and she was outside crying. Original post: I'm Owen, 33M, Kelsey, 29F, and I had been together a little over 2 years. She'd been staying at my apartment in Columbus for 8 months, but the lease had always been in my name. That detail mattered later. The first year was easy. She was outgoing and funny, I'm quieter. I work in logistics for a medical supply company, and my brain likes order, plans, clear answers, people saying what they mean. Then something shifted. Kelsey started treating normal relationship behavior like a defect. If I asked what time she was coming home, I was controlling. If I checked that she got somewhere safe, I was hovering. If I wanted to talk through an argument instead of pretending it never happened, I was needy. That was her favorite word. Needy, too much, draining. At first I argued, then I adjusted, I shortened texts, waited longer to respond. Let things slide because I got tired of being told my tone was the issue. Looking back, I wasn't becoming more understanding, I was becoming smaller. The breakup happened on a Friday that should have been one of my better days. That morning I got promoted to route supervisor. A $7,800 raise, better hours, fewer emergency weekends. I'd been working toward it for almost a year. Kelsey knew that. We had dinner reservations at an Italian place downtown for $730. I stopped and picked up her favorite cannoli from a bakery in Grandview on the way home. $18 for 6 little pastries I ended up throwing away untouched. At 442 I texted, "Still good for tonight." Nothing. At 607 I texted, "Reservation is at 730, just checking." At 639 she replied, "At Maya's, getting ready, relax, no congratulations, just relax." I let it go, changed clothes, waited. At 756, after we'd already missed the reservation window, my phone buzzed again. "Maybe some distance will make you miss me. Don't call me tonight." That was the full message. I stared at it. Read it again. Sat down on the edge of the bed and just let the last 6 months line up in my head. Every time she vanished after an argument. Every time she picked a fight, then watched to see if I'd chase. Every time she called normal concern clingy and acted like I should be grateful she tolerated it. So I typed back, "Then take it. Good luck." She called almost immediately. Then again. Then FaceTimed. Then came the texts. "Are you serious? Don't be childish. I'm making a point. Why are you doing this?" That part was always the trick. Say something cruel, then act shocked when someone takes it seriously. I turned my phone face down and started packing. Kelsey had moved in slowly. First a tote bag, then shoes by the door, then makeup in my bathroom, then a floor mirror, decorative pillows, and a whole shelf of books chosen mostly by spine color. Little by little, my apartment stopped looking like mine. 2 suitcases, 4 plastic bins, a garment bag, her hair tools, skin care, boots, blankets, coffee table books, random chargers, candles, framed prints, little trays she kept on every flat surface. I packed neatly. Better than she probably would have. At 9:25 I called maintenance and booked a Saturday rekey for noon. Emergency weekend rate, $145, fine by me. Then I left one note on the kitchen counter. "You asked for distance. I'm giving it to you. Your things are packed. Text me by noon tomorrow for pickup." After that, I'm changing the locks. Owen, she kept blowing up my phone while I finished clearing the dresser. "You're insane. Open the door when I get there." I didn't mean it like that. "Why are you doing this?" Over one text. She got home just after midnight with her friend Alyssa. I opened the door with the chain still on. Kelsey looked annoyed more than hurt. Full makeup, heels in one hand, wine on her breath. "What is wrong with you?" she said. "You told me not to call you," I said. "You wanted distance. You got it." Alyssa jumped in immediately. "Owen, come on." She was upset. "You know how she talks." "Yeah," I said, "I do now." Kelsey pushed the door, hit the chain, and stared at me like I'd missed my cue. So you're really ending a 2-year relationship because I needed one night of space? No, I said, I'm ending it because you keep using space like a weapon. That was the first moment she looked thrown. I told her to come back at 11 with a car. She tried anger. Then tears. Then silence. None of it moved me. They finally left. I slept better that night than I had in months. Saturday morning, she showed up at 1051 in her sister's SUV. I'd asked my building manager, Trent, to stand nearby just in case. Smart decision. The moment she saw him, her whole tone changed. Wow, she said. Witnesses. That's embarrassing. For who? I asked. We loaded her things in 2 trips. She kept trying little lines on me. You're overreacting. You'll regret this. You always do things when you're emotional. I didn't argue. When she finished, I handed her the last bag and said, "Take care, Kelsey." At 12:06, maintenance changed the lock. I paid the $145. Changed the garage code too. By 1 o'clock, I had 34 missed calls, 11 texts, and 1 voicemail where she said, in this quiet, stunned voice, "I didn't think you'd actually do it." That sentence told me everything I needed to know. Update 1. I thought the hard part would be the breakup itself. It wasn't. The hard part was everything she did after realizing I meant it. On Monday, Alyssa texted, "You made your point. She's been crying all weekend. Can't you just talk to her like an adult?" I replied once she told me distance would make me miss her. I agreed. There's nothing to discuss. Tuesday morning, Kelsey's sister, Brooke, called from an unknown number. She opened with, "I'm not taking sides," which is how people usually announce they are absolutely taking sides. She said Kelsey told her I had thrown her out with nowhere to go. I said, "She left Friday night on purpose, came back after midnight with Alyssa, picked up her things Saturday morning, and still had half a closet at your place from before she moved in here." So no, she was not stranded. Brooke got quiet for a second, then tried a different angle. "She says you were begging her not to leave and got vindictive when she wouldn't come back." I laughed. Couldn't help it. I said, "Ask her to send you the original text." She hung up. Then came the run-ins. Wednesday, Kelsey appeared at the coffee shop under my office building. Thursday, she was at the grocery store near my apartment. Saturday morning, she was at the same car wash I use once a month. Every time she acted surprised. Every time she found a way to say my name like we were in the middle of some unfinished conversation. I stopped responding, stopped engaging. If I saw her, I left. Mutual people filled in what I didn't ask to know. She was posting stories from Nashville with captions about people only valuing what they lose, plus quote graphics about how absence reveals true love. It all sounded like a middle school breakup with better lighting. Meanwhile, my life got calmer. I joined a Tuesday rec volleyball league because one of the guys from work had been trying to get me to go for months. I signed up for an operations certification course. My company reimburses up to $1,200 for every year. I started sleeping through the night. My apartment stayed clean. My sink stayed empty. My living room stopped feeling like a stage where I was always one wrong line away from conflict. And that's when I realized something that should have hit me sooner. I wasn't devastated. I was relieved. The weirdest moment came 9 days after the breakup. It was 1040 p.m. I'd just gotten out of the shower when my doorbell camera alert popped up. Kelsey was sitting on the floor outside my apartment door wearing my old Ohio State sweatshirt, knees pulled up, crying like she was auditioning for a dramatic indie film. I didn't open the door. I used the app speaker. "Kelsey, you need to leave." She looked straight at the camera. "Owen, please, 5 minutes. No, you won't even look at me. I'm literally looking at you right now." That didn't help. She stood up, wiped her face with the sleeve of my sweatshirt and said, "I made a mistake. I wanted you to fight for me." And there it was. Finally honest. I said, "That's the problem. You keep calling it a mistake when it was a test." She shook her head. "No, the problem is you gave up too easily. That settled it for me, completely." Because she wasn't saying she missed me. She was saying I failed to perform the role she wanted. She wanted me rattled, wanted me begging, wanted to feel the relationship tighten every time she pulled away. Then she asked, "Are you seeing someone?" I wasn't, not yet, but I was done explaining my life to her. I said, "That's not your business." She started crying harder than yelling that I was humiliating her. I called building security. 2 guards came up, walked her out, and logged the incident at my request. Update: 2 things escalated after security escorted her out. The next Tuesday, Kelsey showed up in my office lobby at 8:15 a.m. carrying a paper bag from a breakfast place I used to like. Reception called upstairs and said, "There's a woman here saying she's your girlfriend and she brought you food." I said, "Ex-girlfriend. Please ask her to leave." She left a note at the desk before security could reach her. I photographed it before I threw it away. Distance was supposed to make you miss me, not erase me. That one line irritated me more than I expected, because it confirmed exactly what I already knew. The text had not been about hurt feelings. It had been a move. She expected me to panic, chase, apologize, and hand her back control. What she couldn't accept was that I heard her clearly and stepped out of the game. 3 days later, she sent white lilies to my office. The card read, "For the man too stubborn to admit he still loves me." My boss, Devin, asked if HR needed to be looped in. I said yes. So HR and security got copies of everything. Then came the online stuff. Fake accounts viewing my stories. One blank profile commenting on an old photo, "Funny how karma works." A Venmo request for $412 for shared groceries and utilities. I declined it with one line, "You lived here rent-free for 8 months. We're settled." A mutual friend texted right after that saying she was telling people, "I changed the locks while she was at work and dumped her stuff in the hallway." I sent him the screenshot of her original text and a photo of her loading bins into Brooke's SUV. He replied, "She definitely did not tell it like that." Then she contacted my mom. This was a mistake. My mother lives in Dayton and has exactly 0 patience for emotional theater. Kelsey apparently called crying and said I was shutting everyone out and acting irrational. My mom called me right away. I read her the text word for word. She was quiet for 3 seconds. Then she said, "Oh, absolutely not." When Kelsey called her back later, my mom told her, "You do not get to play games with my son and call yourself the victim when he believes you. Don't contact me again." I love that woman. Kelsey's mother called the next day and came in hot. Said Kelsey was humiliated, that I should have de-escalated, that a good man would not have made one ugly text permanent. I said, "Your daughter ended the relationship as a power move and didn't like that it worked. I'm not discussing this again." Then I hung up. 2 nights later, I got the voicemail that pushed me into legal territory. It came in at 11:18 p.m. "I know you're home. I can see your truck in the garage. Why are you acting like I'm dangerous? I just want to talk." That voicemail chilled me in a way the crying never did. The garage in my building is resident only. She no longer had a code or remote, which meant she had either waited outside for another car to open the gate or followed someone in just to verify I was home. The next morning, I filed a police report for harassment. The officer I spoke to told me exactly what I expected him to tell me. Keep everything, organize it. Dates, times, screenshots, building logs, voicemails, witness names. Make it easy if you need a protection order. So I did. And right in the middle of all of that, life kept moving. I met Brianna through volleyball. She was a nurse, funny and very normal about communication. We got coffee after a game, then tacos the next week, easy, no performance, no hidden test. I told her early that I had a recent ex who was not handling things well. She nodded and said, "Thanks for telling me." Of course Kelsey found out. 3 Saturdays later, Brianna and I were at a brewery in Dublin with 2 friends from the league. Midway through the evening, I looked up and saw Kelsey walking toward our table in a red dress I recognized because I'd bought it for a wedding the previous summer. Brianna saw my face and quietly asked, "That's her?" "Yep." Kelsey stopped at the end of the table and said, "So this is why you moved on so fast." I said, "Kelsey, leave. She looked at Brianna and gave this thin, mean little smile. Then she picked up Brianna's plastic cup and dumped beer across the table. Everything moved fast after that. Friends stood. Staff came over. Security came over. Kelsey tried crying, then blaming, then saying Brianna had smirked at her. The officer who responded watched a phone video from the next table, took statements, and gave Kelsey a criminal trespass warning from the property. That Monday, I filed for a temporary protection order. I hated needing to. I hated her making it necessary more. Final update court was 3 weeks later. By then my folder on Kelsey looked like an audit file. Screenshots, call logs, doorbell clips, office notes, flower card, building incident report, police report, brewery statements. The voicemail about my truck in the garage. Kelsey showed up in a cream sweater with her hair pulled back, looking soft and subdued. If you had only seen that version of her, you might have thought she was just heartbroken and embarrassed. Her attorney pushed exactly that story. Miscommunication, emotional breakup, regrettable attempts to reconnect, no real threat. Then the judge started reading. The original text, the repeated unwanted contact, the office visit, the flowers, the voicemail, the brewery incident. At one point the judge looked at her and said, "When someone ends a relationship and tells you not to contact them, your feelings do not create an exception." Her attorney tried one more angle, said Kelsey only wanted closure and reacted badly to rejection. The judge said she asked for distance. He complied. What followed was harassment. Order granted. 18 months, no contact, no showing up at my home, office, or regular spots. 500 feet. I didn't feel victorious walking out. Mostly I felt done. Since then, life has been quiet in the best way. Brianna and I are still together. 4 months now. She met my mom recently and they got along immediately. Work is good. I finished the certification course and Devin already hinted there's another promotion path if I want it. My apartment feels like mine again. No decorative pillows. No mystery jars covering every bathroom surface. No emotional landmines hidden inside simple conversations. I've heard through mutual people that Kelsey now posts vague healing quotes about toxic men and protecting her peace. Fine, I kept the receipts. The biggest thing I learned is this: people who use distance as a weapon are counting on your fear to do the work for them. They want you chasing, folding, proving you need them badly enough to accept disrespect as normal. Kelsey kept calling me needy because she needed me off balance. The moment I stopped negotiating and simply believed her words, the whole game collapsed. Distance didn't make me miss her. Distance let me hear myself think. If you've ever had somebody test your love by threatening to withhold theirs, you already know how exhausting that is. Love should not feel like a hostage trade for reassurance. The right person does not punish you for acting like you care. That's where it ended. Court order. Quiet apartment. Peaceful life. If you've ever dealt with someone who turned love into a power game, tell me in the comments. Subscribe, like, and share if you want more stories like this, and let me know whether you think I took her words the right way or just finally took them seriously.